Sam Petrie is here with us today. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very good, very good. What's new? What's going on?
Everything and nothing. Just living the best life that I possibly can in the middle of a lockdown with babies and puppies. Keeping busy.
Keeping busy, a lot going on inside the house. Can't
Mm-hmm.
go too far from the house.
No.
That's great. I reached out to you and you're pretty, I don't know if vocal is the right word, but you were open with your posts on social media about
Mm-hmm.
your struggles and some of the things you've been through. And I reached out and you actually mentioned the podcast on your post. So I just wanted to reach out to see if you'd like to share. And you did. And I
Yeah.
just want to say thanks. Thanks for agreeing to come on.
Yeah, and thank you for doing everything you're doing. It's great.
Thank you so much. Well, you can get right into your story. You can jump in wherever you'd like and go from there.
Oh, all right. Well, it's I struggle. I don't know where to start because it's hard to really summarize an entire life to really tell you who I am and why I am who I am. But I guess when I was a kid, I started off pretty ordinary. So lived in a very rural PEI. The only neighbors I had were family. I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I was very quiet, uh, like quiet to the point where my teachers, my family, like everybody thought there was something wrong with me because I was just so cripplingly shy. And I remember one teacher in front of me and my father and even some of the students in my class just like outright said, she's probably not going to go anywhere. She's probably, she'll be lucky if she graduates, and that
It's
really
a crazy
stuck with
thing to say
me.
to a kid.
Yeah, it was pretty messed up. I was grade 2 or 3. So I was, pretty young and impressionable. And so I believed
How,
her because I was like, she's an adult. She must know what she's talking about. So I just
of
was like, oh,
course.
that's it. That's who I am. That's what I am. So
How old were you when you first remember? Like, do you have a first kind of sort of memory of being shy? Is that just like when you, the whole time when you were a kid, or?
uh, it goes back further. So I dealt with a bit of abuse in my younger years, like sexual and mental abuse. So anytime some like topics around that would come up, it would I just shut down completely.
Right.
And then it got to the point where I just, I didn't even know how to talk anymore. I didn't know how to cope. I didn't know how to deal with anything. So I just shut down.
Right.
And yeah, I brought that into my school life. Anytime somebody would say my name or ask me a question, I just totally closed down completely. Like even something as simple as asking me what my name was would be enough to just completely cripple me.
Wow. So just asking a question at all kind of bring you.
Yeah, yeah, drawing any attention to me at all. I hated it.
Okay. Um, and then so around grade 2 or 3, that happened with the teacher.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, she pretty much said like, yeah, she's, I basically felt like she was saying she's just stupid, and that's just something you're all gonna have to deal with. So I believed her, and I gave up. I stopped trying in school. I stopped trying to make friends. I stopped trying to be nice. I was like, whatever. I'm just gonna roll through life. And so I mean, I that kept up for a few years. I didn't have very many friends. I was bullied a lot. I was pretty miserable, from about that time up until high school. And then I sort of, grew into my looks, and I sort of found my own group of friends in high school, and I started to get popular, and I didn't really know what to do with all this attention suddenly. So I dealt with it by drinking and partying and smoking and doing recreational drugs and anything like that. I was just wasn't coping, so I just partied and partied hard until I found myself pregnant at 17. And yeah, so then I decided I was gonna smarten up and be a mom. So that, closing one chapter and moving on to another one. And I had a bit of a crazy rocky start to motherhood because my son was actually born with a birth defect, gastroschisis. His bowels were formed on the outside of his stomach. So at 17, they had to ship me off to Halifax to have him there. So I had left my tiny little village where I had grown up and lived my entire life. And all of a sudden I was living in this, big metropolis city of Halifax for the first time, solo by myself. So, and we were there for a couple of months until he was well enough to come home, and they moved us to Charlottetown Hospital, and we stayed there for a few more months.
You still in
So
high school at this time?
I just graduated. I graduated in June, and then I had him in October. So I was quite pregnant during my prom. So I actually
Okay.
made my own. Me and my grandmother made my prom dress to it was like a ballerina style prom dress. So
Oh yeah.
it rose out over the belly, so you actually couldn't tell that I was pregnant. I mean, it was a small school, so everybody knew anyway. But
Right.
I rolled with it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my introduction to motherhood. And then he was only a few months old whenever I found myself pregnant with baby number 2. And that was great. I really loved being a mom, and I had really awesome kids, despite the my son's illness. But my relationship was really tough. He had a lot of issues with drugs and alcohol, and sleeping with other women. So that took its toll on our relationship. And so I left him soon after my daughter was born. Met a man right away, moved in with him, had another baby, because that's what you do, right? It was just keep pumping out babies. Something I'm very good at.
Baby machine at this point.
I am, yeah.
Pumping them
Yeah,
out.
still at it. That was 10 years ago. I'm still just had baby number 4. So no, I tease. I love it. My kids are wonderful. But yeah,
So
so
when you talk about motherhood, like you loved it. So you loved it right away. Was that like a big transition from kind of your party life or just your normal kind of
you
teenage
know what?
life into
It
like
was
motherhood?
I had finally found some purpose in some direction for my life. I found a reason to smarten up. Um, someone that, to just give me some stability. And I had a lot of love to give. I didn't know it. I had really found my voice too, and I was getting my confidence. And I don't know, my kids, it was certainly a blessing in disguise. I wouldn't go back and change it, any bit of it. That's for sure. So.
Wow. That's very interesting. So you have the second kid,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, so you had the third kid rather. Sorry.
Yeah. So I had second, left their dad, moved in with a new man, had a baby. We lived together for a couple of years, and then I sort of had a little bit of a breakdown, I guess you could call it, or an existential crisis. Maybe is just probably a better term for it. I was just so miserable. I loved being a mom, but I realized that's all I am. I didn't have any hobbies. I didn't have any friends. Um,
Right.
I didn't know who I was besides just a mom. And it really got to me because I had always had a bit of a gypsy heart, and I always wanted to, before I found out I was pregnant, I had dreams of joining the Navy and just sailing off or traveling the world. Of
Right.
course, none of that happened after I was pregnant. I chose to be a mom. Um, but yeah, no, I still had these urges to just be something more than what life was for me at that moment.
Right.
And it was debilitating. I I was still able to provide for my kids, but then after they went to bed, there was nothing left. I would just sink into the floor and just melt and just kind of not want to wake up. And I realized I was I didn't want to be alive anymore. I wasn't suicidal yet, but I just didn't want to live that life anymore. And I felt
Right.
like a monster because there was like I'd have these thoughts like, do I run away? Do I leave my children? Do I just vanish, disappear without
Yeah.
a trace? And I was thinking like people would think I was a monster if I did that. It would be better if I just died because
Right.
then people would be feeling sorry for me and not like, oh, like what kind of mother could leave her children, like which is how I feel. Like, looking at my kids now, there's no way I could ever leave them. That's not what I wanted. I just didn't want the life that I was giving them or myself here
I've
with. Yeah.
I've always imagined like just what you're saying when you become like a young parent, like the 17, 18 or whatever age, like just that time from like 17 to like 25 or 30 or whatever. It's like this time of like finding yourself and becoming
Yeah.
like figuring out who you want to be. And
Yeah, for sure.
I always imagined that would just be such a hard time. And from what I gather from people I know, like such a hard time to like find yourself at the same time you're
Mhm.
being like a parent,
Yeah. Oh,
because
it
it's such
really
a
is.
developmental time for yourself as well.
Yeah, it really is. And yeah, so that I mean, I eventually did. I ended up attempting suicide shortly after I was having all these feelings. Uh, didn't didn't work out so well for me, thankfully. So I spent some time in Unit 9 in the psych ward for about a month or so until I was, well enough you know, to go home. I left my partner, my boyfriend, um, applied to Holland College on a whim into the trade school there, for precision machining. Just no idea what it was. I just thought it sounded kind of sexy, to be honest.
Precision machining.
Yeah.
Precision. Could I
uh,
ask you, and I mean,
yeah,
again, you can share as much as you want to, but like
yeah.
your mindset leading up to the attempt and like kind of, because I think that's like important for people to hear and to maybe even relate to, is um like what mental state you find yourself in before that happened.
Yeah. Um, I was obviously in a very dark place and I wasn't thinking very clearly. I pretty much decided that I didn't want to be alive anymore. I didn't necessarily think I would kill myself, but I was just like, why can't I just get cancer or get hit by a car, And then eventually I just tried to take it into my own hands. I just really thought that my kids would be better off without me kind of weighing them down, or my partner. We didn't get along that great, but I still cared about him, still do. I still want the best for everyone. But uh, yeah, no, I just really didn't want to live the life that I was living anymore, and I didn't see a way out of it besides
Stuck.
just not being alive anymore.
Right. It's like an overwhelming feeling of being stuck.
Yeah, very much.
And was that your first time like being hospitalized or going to Unit 9?
Yeah, yeah, it
Eh,
was being in a hospital at all besides for childbirth. It was that was an experience. It wasn't really a good one or a bad one. It was just sort of it was quite neutral. I feel like I don't have any bad blood with any of the doctors or psychiatrists, that's for sure. But I really don't feel like they did enough. I
Right.
mean, they're also overworked. There's only so many of them, and there's a lot of us who are struggling. So
Right.
I felt like they were just kind of just watching to make sure I, wasn't going to hurt myself, making sure I was taking my medication, and then that was it. Like, I'd go in for my therapy, once every couple days, and the doctor would pretty much just sit there with their back to me, typing in my responses, like anything notable. Like it was very impersonable, and it certainly wasn't very healing. But I mean, I survived, and I was grateful, and I was willing to really try the medication they had put me on, and to go to school and to try. I mean, I figured, what did I have to lose, besides my life, which, you know, I tried. So yeah, we yeah, went
So
to
where do
school.
you go to school from there? And um so did they put you on medication like um to go on when you got out as well?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, we tried an antidepressant, um, and I liked it. I'm still on it. Years later, I stuck with it. I don't even know if it's so much the drug itself that helps, but kind of the routine of taking it every morning, just like getting up and taking it religiously, and I like that.
Right.
So,
Um and do you mind sharing which one worked for you?
affects her.
So you go from there and then you go decide to go back to school.
Yeah, yeah. So I left my partner. I moved into my mother's tiny little cottage in Greenwich, with my three kids. So it was my mom and my sister in a two-bedroom cottage, and I decided I was going to move in with three kids. So I built a makeshift bedroom in her basement for the kids and I to share. It was interesting. The kids loved it. They were like, it was like a sleepover with mommy every night. Um, and my family is very, very helpful. I love my family very much. I don't know what I'd do without them. So they helped me out as much as they could. I mean, actually, at one point, my mother and my sister and myself were all going to school. So and raising these three children. Um, so yeah, I stuck that up for a couple of years. I graduated, and I was working in my trade before I even got my diploma. I absolutely loved it. Uh, it was a really, really hard few years. So for sure, I was driving from Greenwich to Summerside, which is like a 2-hour drive one way, twice a day. So
Wow.
it was tough, because school would be out at 4. I get home at 6. I'd have to feed the kids, do homework, do my homework, try and clean up, get everything ready for school the next day. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning before I was going to bed, and then I was up at 5 to start my day. So it was really tough. And then I was working in my trade, and I absolutely loved the work, but the work environment was really tough because I was the only female. And I was sexually and mentally and physically abused by various people I had worked with. So I decided to do something about it. Me and my best friend, who I met in trade school, she's a Red Seal electrician now. We started this oh my gosh. Yeah, this not-for-profit organization called Women Building PEI, and it was basically just kind of to support women on the island who are either in the trades or interested in getting into the trades, and just to support them however we could. Um, so that's a lot of work, but it's a labor of love, and it's growing. And I love seeing all these women, young and old, who are, realizing what they can do, and it gives me a lot of pride. It makes me really happy, and I feel like I've left a tiny little mark, you know. So
I think that's awesome.
yeah, thank you. Um,
What, if you don't mind sharing, like what sort of things did you experience in that environment?
oh, uh, you know, people grabbing my butt, um, telling me that I should wear like a mini skirt to work, or just like telling me that I should be cleaning up. I I usually just put Sam on all my resumes. I go by Sam. My name is Samantha, but everybody knows me as Sam. So when I showed up for an interview, the person thought I was actually a man. And on the phone, when I was talking to them, they had offered me $16 an hour starting off. But whenever he gave me the job, he lowered it to $14 an hour after realizing I was a woman.
Right.
Um, and I took what I could get at the time because I really needed to work and I needed to just kind of prove myself. So I put up with it. But yeah, no, the mental abuse, it was like screaming at me, telling me I was no good, called me girl. I had one boss who wouldn't even refer to me with my name. He'd say, "Hey, girl, come here," which drove me fucking crazy. Um, oh gosh, there's so much. There's
Mhm.
yeah, being groped, cursed at, talked down to, you name it. It's happened.
Right. I think that's really awesome that you started that. What was it called again? Your not for profit.
Women Building PEI.
Well, in BPI. I think it's really awesome that you started that because, yeah, I think just bringing awareness to that, and um, I think anybody that's worked in trades has been around them. It's kind of like it's mostly men, but there's kind of like it's very like a masculine environment, and
Yeah.
but like there's no reason why women should be treated that way, and there's no reason why they can't work in trades if they want to work in trades. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Um, so leading from there, where do you go from there?
Like I kept that up. I kept working, and I was also kind of like, I've been on this quest to figure out who I am since I tried to kill myself. I was like, well, I'm alive. I might as well do this my way. So I, you know, I always try to have a hobby of some sort. Anything from like yoga to dancing to sailing to, oh lordy, just everything. You mentioned something to me and I'm like, yeah, I can do that, and then I'll give it a shot. So uh, another thing, I started working in film, here and there part-time, yeah, on both sides of the screen, primarily behind the screen. Are you familiar with the terms, like I'm a gaffer or a grip?
No, but maybe you could
So
explain
like
to
a,
me
a lighting
and the
technician, or
listeners.
like I, I
Okay.
I put stuff up and I tear stuff down behind the scenes, basically. So
Okay.
that's fun, but
Very cool.
it's not a huge market on PEI, so it's only like jobs here and there. So I still need something full time to pay
Right.
the bills.
I'm sure it was
But yeah,
interesting when you got some work though. Like, you've probably seen some
oh,
cool
it's
projects going on.
super cool. Yeah, I've met some really cool people. I got to do a lot of really fun things. Got to go to Halifax for like some film festivals, and I mean, it's really fun. It's really, I really enjoy the work and I enjoy the people, and yeah, so that's been one really cool aspect of my life. Yeah, no, I guess what I'm trying to say is I've just been really fucking busy. I Probably too busy. I sometimes I don't know how to say no or to stop when I'm ahead. I've noticed a cycle where like I go so hard, like as hard as I can for as long as I can, and then I crash. And then
Yeah.
I just need to like I stop responding to emails, to text messages. I don't leave my house. I just completely crumble.
Right.
and I never really understood it. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with me? But I burned myself out. Uh,
Yeah.
so I'm still working on this. I'm still trying to pace myself. It's an ongoing battle because like when I'm happy and energetic and when things are going good, I'm like I'm on top of the world, and I start all these projects, and and I try to keep them all up. But I'm only one person, and it takes its toll. So I'm still working on that. This
It
lockdown has been, this past year has been interesting. Yeah, it sort of forced me to,
slow down.
just sit down and slow down. Yeah, and it's been both good for me and bad for me. It's been simultaneously like one of the worst years of my life and one of the best ones. I think that the bad things that are happening in my life right now came at kind of a good time because I am forced forced to sit down and really deal with it. And instead of like, before, if something traumatic happened in my life, I would hide from it. I would find another hobby. I would procrastinate. I would just do anything but deal with the problem.
Stay busy as
And
possible, not think about it.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of a, yeah.
That's kind of like the eternal dance we play as humans, I
Mhm.
think. And like, I'm a personal trainer, that's my job, so it's kind of like I help clients with it a lot. It's like the balancing act and like not doing everything at once, and it's really
Mhm.
hard for everybody. Like, I struggle with it every day. Like, what can
Yeah.
you do sustainably, and then what are you pushing off, and then going into your mental health, like what are you not dealing with, and then all of a sudden, like, you feel like you're doing really good, and then, like, sometime later you're like you said, you can't even do anything. It's like, oh, I haven't been
Yeah.
taking care of myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly, I need to learn to pace myself. So.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Yeah, it's just it's different for everybody too. That I think that's what's interesting about it is, like, some people can handle a lot more than others, and then it's like finding like the self-awareness to know like when you've had enough, when you need to dial back a little bit, when what you need to do and when you need to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something I try and practice every day. Just, try and reflect on like, where am I? Where do I want to be? What can I do? Like, what can I do? Um, and it's something, I think I'm gonna be like this for the rest of my life. Like I don't see any other way, and I'm totally okay with that now. Before when I really accepted that I was, depressed and anxious, and I had, I was like, I don't want to live like this. Like, what a pain in the
Mhm.
ass. Like, I have to
Yeah,
deal
yeah.
with this every day
Yeah,
of my life. Like,
yeah.
heck. But
Fuck
you know
this.
what? Everybody deals with it in some level, or they have
Mhm.
something else. Like, we're
Yeah.
human. We're not perfect, and this is who I am. And I'm just gonna find the best way to live the rest of my life. So,
What have been the biggest things for you to navigate everything you've been through?
mm, what do you mean?
Like, as far as like a daily practice, you said the medication helps a lot, but I guess a better question would be, what are the things you do on a daily basis to help maintain your mental health? The things that you've learned to help it.
Yeah, so I try to keep as much of a routine as I can. Get up in the morning, make my bed, brush my teeth, take my meds. Um, I've just recently started yoga. I'm trying very hard to like, lose my COVID slash baby weight. Uh, so and I need to be more active. You're a personal trainer, right? I did one push up and I put my back out, so you would not be very proud of me. I
Listen, that's okay. Next time, maybe go from your knees, make it a little bit easier. Start there.
oh yeah, I'll have to. I think I've traumatized myself though. I might just stay away from push-ups for a while. I'll stick to yoga. It's easy. Um, but yeah, so try and do something active. I got a dog. I got a COVID pet, and she's been really good for me because she forces me to get outside and go for a walk.
Right, right.
And she's just like a constant companion. She loves me so much, probably too much. She's a stage 5 clinger, but it's okay. So yeah, she's been good for me. I've really tried to reflect as much as I can. If I'm feeling something, like if I'm depressed or even happy, I'm like, why? Where are these feelings coming from? Just really try to analyze everything so that I know where it's all coming from and what to do about it. And yeah, that's it. Just little things, and I'm still learning. I still have a lot of hard lessons to learn, I'm sure. So yeah, here we are.
Right. I think those are all great things, and like, yeah, just I think awareness. it's so easy to like you said, like to be able to push things down, and then like not being aware of how you're feeling until it's too late and you kind of
Hmm.
over that edge, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you gotta kind of dig yourself out of a hole by the time you realize you're in
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And I'm really good at that. Like one thing I've learned over the past couple of years is, yeah, I know when to ask for help. And
Mm,
I've got a great support system. I have a wonderful partner, and my family is still very, I'm very close with them. Um, and when I feel the kind of like the burnout or something, like when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm not afraid to tell them.
mhm.
And they're just like, they're always great to be like, yeah, what can we do? Um, and that's been really helpful for sure.
I think that's another thing too. Is like a lot of people are usually really scared to open up to their loved ones about how they're actually
Hmm.
feeling.
Yeah.
Like just being able to say like I'm upset or I'm burnt out or I'm whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it all kind of, we were always close, but certainly after, that they went to visit me in the hospital when I was there, and they were just like, how did it get this bad? And so kind of ever since then, we've always been very close, and they've shared with me their struggles. So it's a two-way street.
Right.
um because I don't want to always, I can feel like a burden sometimes. Like I feel like maybe I'm asking for too much help, or something. So yeah, that's something I do struggle with still, because I can be a lot. I have really strong emotions, and I express myself very strongly, and I know that can be a lot for some people to hear, because I'm very open and honest, and sometimes I can come off as a little abrasive. uh,
Right.
mm,
Yeah, I think yeah, I think that like openness and honesty between like your support group, your family, the people you love, like having that two-way street is super important. Like not only you sharing but them sharing back to, and then like having that open road, so to speak, or that bridge
mhm.
connection to each other where you know that you can share.
Yeah.
I think that's super important. Um,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because then it's not only your mental health, it's theirs too.
Yeah, for
Like they
sure.
get the benefit of that as well.
Yeah.
Um, so you leave the trades job,
Hmm.
and where do things go from there?
Well, right now, I mean, right now I'm on maternity leave with a baby, but before that, I was actually working with the government to hire women in the trades. So I was like working with employers and women to partner them up so that we could give women opportunities. Uh, so I'm just sort of, yeah, on a break from all that. Just life's on pause so I can take care of my little one. And you know what? I actually, in a year, when I go back to work, I actually have no idea what I'm going to be doing, and I'm so excited about the idea of change. I love and embrace change. I love it. I get to reinvent myself. So I'm really looking forward to that. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Oh, I even surprise myself sometimes.
That's very interesting. So so was that with like with the province or something? Like
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
and then you're not sure if you'll be doing the same thing when you go back.
No, unfortunately, I won't be going back to that. That's all done.
Oh, okay,
But I mean, I still work in film. Um, what else do I do? Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, I still have my not-for-profit. I'm still a mom. Still a little bit of modeling. I don't know. We'll see if I can get my yoga bod back. Might be a little helpful, but I'll be busy.
right,
I'll
yeah,
I'll find something to do.
right. No, that's interesting. That's interesting. I think change is good, and I think learning new things is good too.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Um, so you had a new baby as well too, just recently, like you said there,
Yeah, yeah. She's 5 months old.
5 months old.
Yeah.
So was there any differences? having the latest baby,
Oh my
a little
God,
bit older?
it's so different. So there was a decade between this baby and my last baby. And oh my God, the world is so different now when it comes to raising children. Like everything is so different. I thought it was going to be a breeze because I'm like, oh, baby number four, I'm a pro. I'm
Veteran.
not. I'm not at all. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. Thankfully, she's a really great baby. She's like so happy and so chill. She doesn't cry. She's just like she's just like my little sidekick. She's great. But oh boy, howdy, having a baby in the middle of a pandemic was really scary. There's a lot of uncertainty, um, and just in giving birth. I'm like, I didn't like, am I gonna be able to have my partner in with me? Like, I had no idea, and nobody could tell me either. Nobody knew because the rules are always changing so constantly. So it was really, really scary, and I was really sick. Holy cow. uh I don't know if it was like from the stress from the state of the world and my own personal issues that were going on in the world or in my life, but I was so sick. I was like bedridden. I was on bed rest for like the last 3 months.
Oh wow.
And then she came out and she's like this wonderful little baby. She owes it to me, so for that pregnancy. That was rough.
Yeah. Were you able to have your partner in there with you
I went
during
with my
childbirth?
partner and my mom, yeah.
Okay.
But it was 31 hours of labor. I'm glad I had them.
Only 31.
Oh yeah.
That sounds
Yeah,
not
it
fun.
really is. It was a doozy. Yeah. She's lucky she came out so cute and happy. My goodness.
That's wild, 31. Yeah, so leading into today, you have a new baby, three other
Mhm.
kids. How is your day to day these days?
Uh yeah, it's pretty ordinary, pretty mundane. We bought a house in the suburbs, got a dog or kids, and life's pretty normal for us right now. Sometimes I actually forget there's a pandemic because like my partner can still go to work. I stay home with the baby, and life's just kind of normal, and wake up, take care of her, walk the dog.
Right.
It's pretty boring, really. I listen to a lot of podcasts and things like that just to kind of entertain my brain
Right.
throughout the day. Otherwise, I just go completely crazy because like I am so used to keeping busy. So the baby keeps me on my toes a lot, but and I need like intellectual stimulation. So
Hmm.
podcasts like yours, I've really really loved yours. It's so nice to hear real people talk about their struggles. I found it really really helpful. Um, but yeah, so uh, I don't know. Nothing really exciting to mention in my day to day life. I've got a filming job this coming weekend, and I'm so pumped to like finally dip my toes back into the workforce.
Oh
Um,
wow, that's awesome.
yeah, I'm excited.
What sort of project is going on?
There's like some short films being shooting over the next couple of weeks. Um, yeah, so I'm working on those, but there's all kinds of stuff. There's like films, commercials, music videos. There's lots of stuff going on the island. It's surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, you might not necessarily think so, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's cool. Like there's a lot of creativity going on here. I've
Yes, there is. Yeah, I love it.
I was having a conversation recently, and someone was telling me like we were talking about the island and like musicians here in particular,
Hmm.
and even probably going into film as well. But there's kind of like a special kind of spirit here when it comes
Yeah.
to creativity. There's so many good musicians, and there's a history of musicians, and
Yes,
the film, and
definitely.
it is like a very
Dance,
unique place when you think
poetry.
about it. You know,
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's a great place to kind of like share your talents, and everything's going to be well received because everybody's just so like they're so awesome. We're so nice. You write a song and record it and put it on Facebook. Like people are gonna love it, and we're gonna go
Yeah.
watch your shows. And it's a very supportive little island. At least, that's what I see. Those are the people I've surrounded myself with. So
Right. Yeah, I think that's the general vibes.
yeah,
I've received a lot of good feedback from doing this podcast, a lot of support, like
good. Yeah,
right out of the gate. And when I did CBC, I did a CBC interview like around a year ago, and a lot of people reached out, just kind of random islanders,
yeah,
just saying super supportive things. I think it's yeah,
yeah.
the
Well,
way things are here. It's a great place.
and it's such a thing to tackle too. Like, I don't know, because like I find with creativity comes like mental health. Like they often go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of creative people. We have a lot of depressed people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's the balance. Gotta try and keep the balance.
It's interesting how that goes. And like there's also like yeah, that's another thing I'd love to like, if this podcast could help somebody, like that would be amazing.
Mhm.
Another like message I'd like to get out, like, and this is kind of like a side thing, but it plays into it, like you said, like if you have something you feel like you need to create, like you should do it. Like
Yeah,
I never thought I would make a podcast, or like it's just like I don't know, like there's
yeah,
probably plenty of people that feel like they could make a podcast, or feel like they want to write a song, or they want to make a film.
yeah,
And I really believe like creative people, if you're holding that creative energy in, that's really going to affect your mental health.
absolutely. Yeah. That was a big thing for me myself too, because I'm I don't like to call myself an artist because I don't like titles, because then people expect more from you. But
Yeah, yeah.
I've always paint and draw and create things, sculpt. Like I've always loved to do that, but I never had the time or the means to do it. And that was one thing that really affected me too. Like going back to when I was kind of stay-at-home wife with the kids and depressed. I was like, I didn't have any time to create. And I think
Mhm.
that was definitely a big reason for my downfall. And that's something that I started doing as soon as I was able. So I paint now, and hell, I was selling paintings when I was going to college just to pay for my gas to drive
Right.
back and forth. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. But do you find like a therapeutic release
Oh,
with doing it?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. It's just like, even if I don't know what I'm gonna do, even if I'm just like doodling with a pen on like the side of a bill, like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter, as long as my hands are moving. I'm usually pretty happy. It unlocks doors in my brain, and I can think clearly. So
I might be doing that right now with a pen in my
get
hand.
out of here.
I
That's
feel the
awesome.
same way though. Like, yeah, the things I do. I like to play music. I like to doodle, and yeah, just anything. Yeah, it really helps me get things. Like I feel like a completely different person if I don't do it. Like
Yeah.
it's like this
Oh, it's
energy being
essential.
locked inside of me that I need to
Yeah.
get out.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, I just had one more question, Sam. Circling back to the women in trades, when you were working in the job you had, did you find like there was a lot of interest for women to get into trades that felt like maybe they didn't feel safe to do it, or
Oh, absolutely.
whatever? Yeah,
Yeah, all of the women I talked to who were, who wanted to work with their hands, first of all, no one ever told them they could. No one ever gave them the option to be a carpenter or an electrician. Like they just didn't, sometimes like that, some women just like didn't even think it was like an actual possibility. Like, and until I'd show up at their school or their high school to talk about it. And then whenever they did think about it, they're like, they're afraid. They're afraid of what the men in their lives will say, what the men they work with will say. Rightfully so, because you are going to get criticism. You are 100% going to get criticism, and you just got to learn first of all, how to ignore it or how to respond to it. Yeah, I mean, it's working in the trades is not for the faint of heart, and that goes for any gender.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tough, it's cold, it's bloody sometimes. Hell, I've metal shrapnel in my body from machining. Like, I set off alarms. so
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
tough work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about it. Like, I've been around it enough. Yeah, it's just very like rugged.
Yeah.
You know,
But
you hit your hammer, hit your thumb on the hammer, and keep
oh
going,
boy,
right?
I almost lost my thumb. I've got horror stories from, like, almost losing limbs and machinery, but that's a whole other podcast. So we
Yeah.
can get into that.
I think that's badass, man.
Yeah,
Girls want to do what they should.
totally.
Building
Yeah.
shit.
It's fun, and that goes back to, like, being creative too, because a lot of trades work is super creative. Like,
Yeah.
when I was machining, I was like taking this big chunk of metal and I was cutting it very meticulously and carefully to turn it into this, like, intricate piece of machinery, and it was fun to, like, physically see what I was doing and to, like, have something to show at the end of the day. Kind of like a painting,
Yeah.
or a song. So yeah, that working with my hands helped a lot too. And it's like, once I got good at it, I was like, it was kind of therapeutic. I'd be spinning metal on the lathe, and it was just like the rhythm and everything was just like, it was very peaceful. It's loud, it's smelly. I'm sure if somebody else walked in and saw it, it would look crazy and scary, but for me it was just like zen.
Right. I imagine you get to kind of like a flow state where,
Yeah.
yeah, you're good at it, and yeah, you're getting the job done. Well, I just want to say thanks so much for coming on, Sam, and
Yeah, thank you.
sharing your story. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you'd like to mention before we end it off?
Oh boy, nothing comes to mind. I'm sure we'll end this, and I'll be like, oh shit, I should have mentioned all these things. But I think that's pretty good for now. So,
All right.
like you said,
Awesome.
I'm pretty open, and I don't mind talking about this. So, yeah. No, that's it. That's it.
Well, thanks so much for sharing. I'm going to send you a box of salt.
Yeah.
So we got 4 different types of cooking salts here. This is from the Prince Edward Island Sea Salt Company. 40% of all proceeds go to mental health programming on PEI.
Awesome.
So I'm going to send you a box of those salts.
Thank you. Salt is like my chocolate. I'm pumped.
Woo! Just want to say thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.